Hello there, and welcome to the RMC Brown webcast. My name is Ross Brown, and today we're going to focus on some problems that drain time and energy from your business and hopefully give you some solutions to navigate them, if not solve them completely. If you like what you hear today, I'd be grateful if you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. So, let's get to it. Have you ever been on a project, perhaps even leading it, only to find that there's so much going on that you've completely lost the thread? Or perhaps you feel like you're never fully present at either work or at leisure? Both instances could be indicative of communication fatigue, a state of mental exhaustion that comes from relentless exposure to information. Certainly, I've been on projects where I'll be assigned a task during a meeting, and then maybe by email. Then an instant message comes in right before I'm pinged directly from the project management software. Then perhaps I'll be tagged in the comment of a document, and soon you're completely overwhelmed and thoroughly unproductive. A good project manager should have and wield the authority to determine the primary communication channels and enforce them accordingly. You'll never please all of the people all of the time, but that's not really your job. It's to ensure that stakeholders understand their responsibilities and discharge them accordingly. They will do that much better if information is not coming in half a dozen ways. The advent of smart, and I use the word advisedly, technology has also really reduced the opportunity to disconnect from work in a meaningful way. That's not to say it doesn't have its uses, not least of all the opportunity for flexible working, but all decisions come with trade offs. Unfortunately, legislation to disconnect, as was recently passed in France, will not resolve this problem by itself. Ultimately, you are the one that sets the expectation. If you consistently and repeatedly respond to Slack messages at 10 p.m., then you have created the perception that you are always on call, even in France. Dialing that back can be difficult at first, but the more that you can reduce the bleed of work into your personal time, the more energized and focused you'll be in your business time. Consider setting out of office notifications for evenings and weekends and mute alerts from relevant apps on your phone, and keep your laptop in a different room. Communication fatigue is a real thing, and it can materially impair your receptiveness, but you are the one with the power to push back against it. We've all had points where a mountain of work in front of us seems insurmountable, and we don't know where to start. And that's invariably because we've either failed to prioritize the deliverables, or we have too many priorities to begin with. AI, I would argue, hasn't helped in this area. It's now so easy to generate notes and transcripts for a meeting that we've gone from a position where the most important points are captured to suddenly having little distinction between wheat and chaff, which in turn makes prioritization much, much harder than it used to be. As a rule, I try not to undertake more than three major tasks at any one time. Four or more materially affects either the speed of turnaround or the quality of my output. My attention will drift to other places, and the risk of losing focus really increases. That's not to say greater minds than mine can't manage more, but I think if you study yourself honestly, you'll find that your limit is lower than you think it is. Putting personal pride aside, someone working from a realistic baseline will always outperform someone that's overworked by comparison. Fortunately, there are ways to help you manage, the simplest and by no means worst being the good old fashioned to do list, which is fine when your list of tasks are non negotiable. When you have more discretion, there are techniques like the important urgent matrix, which helps you determine not only priority, but perhaps what should not be on your list at all. By the time you're trying to coordinate teams of people, solutions such as Kanban boards come into their own, though by that point there's often a dedicated project manager to coordinate and assign the priorities. Do you have trouble making decisions and getting them approved? Or perhaps all of your ideas are escalated up to a committee only then to come back as a shadow of their former selves? The idea of collective responsibility, where accountability for decisions rests not with an individual minister but the whole cabinet, has long been a feature of the business's board of directors. What has changed more recently, however, is the increased focus on shareholder primacy. In other words, the principle that the primary goal of a company is profit maximisation for the benefit of the owners. There is some rationale to this. It is the owners and the shareholders' money at risk, after all. It has, however, had the ironically counterintuitive effect of hobbling innovation, which in turn reduces the opportunity for commercial growth over the longer term. Aversion to risk has grown alongside corporate bureaucracy, which in turn demands guarantees on ideas that are not yet proven, the place from which innovation invariably comes. A way to navigate this, at least at board level, is to reach decisions by consent rather than consensus. So rather than demand agreement, which tends to deliver diluted compromises, objections must be significant or material to halt the progress of an idea. At a more junior level, personal influence is critical for anyone that wishes to break the mould. Finding a senior sponsor to champion your initiatives invariably requires both enthusiasm and vision. As a rule, the more you can de risk an initiative, the greater your chance of approval. At the same time, expectation management is always necessary. Perfection is unobtainable over the long term, so make sure not to overpromise on what you can realistically deliver. If this webcast were to have a single underlying theme or message, it would have to be to have the courage to push back against things that you can see aren't working, be they late night emails or maybe a never ending task list or your business's refusal to evolve. Fortune, as they say, really does favour the brave. Thank you for your time today. If you've liked what you've heard, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe with someone that you think will benefit. I look forward to catching up with you next month. Goodbye.